The thing about Roblox games is that they aren't made by huge companies, or at least that's usually the case. I'll admit I'm absolutely not familiar with the developers, the situation, or anything like that behind the scenes of World of Stands, but I can probably safely assume that the team is small. This doesn't mean that the game was doomed to be bad or anything. That's not what I'm implying. What I'm trying to say is that a small group of developers working on a platform often assumed to be synonymous with children, people constantly throwing things around like Lego game, children's game, baby game, etc., may not particularly have the resources, budget, time, energy, and what have you to create the next genre defining classic like Super Mario 64 or Ocarina of Time were. Yes, I understand those are very extreme examples, but I think you understand what I mean. This hasn't stopped people in the past from making really awesome and impressive things on this platform, however. I'm only saying they're few and far between. Not every game can nearly break out of the mentally established confines of being a Roblox game by surpassing and even shattering expectations. Take Deepwoken, for example. I'm sure you've heard of it by now. Deepwoken is what I'd consider to be peak Roblox, a game that surpasses the platform it was developed for with visual, gameplay, story, and world building accomplishments rivaling games selected for the coveted title of Game of the Year. Okay, that intro was long, but it served a purpose. Impact. Impact is, in my opinion, the most important thing a Roblox experience needs to achieve in order to rise above the shallow, cash grabby, or weekend project level stuff seen all over the platform. Impact is what makes you come back, or tell a friend about it, or make you wonder what's next for the project. If you don't nail that impression, the odds of players coming back are sometimes so slim, a microscope wouldn't be enough to see them. Things like a fresh new set of animations, a unique color palette, a serviceable story at least, and most importantly, enjoyable gameplay. I think, in general, World of Stands definitely has impact. When you boot up the game, you see the vibrant colors, the detailed NPCs, the well-made building models. The game looks good. It even starts you off immediately with a nice hook with its storyline. These seemingly small details are going to be what keeps the consumers coming back for more sessions. Now, what sets games like YBA and Deepwoken apart from their competitors in terms of impact? I think that would have to be the gameplay. The way a game feels is easily one of the top things you have to absolutely nail if you want to succeed. This is where the devs of 80 to 90% of Roblox Jojo games and I don't see eye to eye. I've played a vast majority of the currently active JoJo's Roblox games, and the thing that keeps me from coming back is their gameplay. If Nintendo never implemented the Z targeting system, stabs, jumping attack, roll, and all the other tweaks to Link's overall gameplay in their jump to 3D, would Ocarina really be regarded as a genre-defying and one of the most influential titles in the entire gaming space? No, absolutely not. Stabs and a stationary shield worked in 2D and felt good, but in 3D they took it to the next level. Your game has to, and I mean has to feel good first and foremost. Fortunately, I think WOS, that'll henceforth be our new abbreviation for World of Stands, succeeds in this department. Nothing game-changing, but definitely good. The individual moves feel good to use. Barrages and stand-in ones feel responsive. The moveset variety is pretty good, and all around the combat doesn't feel too slow. If I had one or two gripes, though, they would be that running should 100% be bound to a button. The momentum, whatever system over time when you're out of combat, I don't like it. I understand the theory, and not wanting people to be able to run in the middle of combat, but it feels so bad to slowly strafe around your opponent, especially in main game, against players who enjoy playing the range. Now, aside from good gameplay, what's likely the second most important part of an experience? Content. Games like Blox Fruits can get away with a shallow combat system when fighting NPCs and a general lack of diversity in the world and gameplay, simply by having loads of content. Now, this isn't me saying that your game can feel awful as long as there's a lot to do. I'm saying that if your game feels good enough, but there's nothing to do, then it won't last long. World of Stands is still very, very new. Yes, the game is not loaded with content, but I think it's okay. For now. Starting off, we have a decent little storyline, considering an isekai-like alternate universe ninja lady, and a slightly altered version of the Part 1 storyline, followed by a genuinely surprising twist on the Part 2 storyline, which takes place a little late, seeing as though Smokey is already president, but the Pillarmans still seem to be around. Anyway, I don't want to spoil the surprises for those who haven't completed it yet. What's left is a couple of pretty good domains, as they're called. raid dungeon sort of things where you can go in alone, or take a friend, or three, and challenge a gauntlet of enemies and puzzles with a nice boss fight to cap it all off. These are pretty fun the first time around, and they're also pretty replayable. I won't pretend like they're always fun. They get a little grindy, especially when you realize that they're one of the best ways to get character progression. But I seriously enjoyed these, and continue to have a decent time with every run through, although they are pretty easy once you've been through a few times, even on nightmare difficulty. Initially, character progression in this game was kinda really not great. As one of the most requested features for the game after the demo phase ended, the devs dropped the ball a bit. However, recently the cost of the potential system was significantly lowered, but it looks like I'm never getting all that money I spent back. Potential in WOS is a form of progression. For a certain cost of money that increases every time you buy a point, you can collect skill points to improve your physical and combat abilities, and your passive abilities, like money collection and percent chance to get rare stands. Kudos to the devs for making the individual skill trees work on individual points. This means that if you have 3 points, you have 3 in both skill trees. On top of that, after a certain amount of levels in your potential, you get rewards such as arrows, regular and shiny, as well as locus. The other system in place for progression is tied to your stand and how much you use one particular stand. Each stand has an individual level that isn't lost if you loca it or store it, so that's nice. The stand levels can be gained through PvE, such as domains or bosses. It does get pretty expensive though. Each stand can level up about 70 times, and let me tell you, the world is level 50 or so, and it is not a walk in the park to get there. These points can be used to level up your stand's moves. This adds damage sometimes, reduces cooldowns sometimes, and or upgrades its auxiliary effects such as increasing time stop duration. Each move requires 10 points to max out. The issue, however, is that you can't just level up your moves at your leisure when you farm the required amount of points. You're forced to complete a certain little quest for the move. These range from harmless to torture sometimes. At times, you can reach the upgrade requirement through doing a certain amount of damage, which is fine enough. However, sometimes you need to attack other players for progress on these quests. Like, for example, you need to ragdoll a certain amount of players with a move or kill them with that move. You probably see how this can be problematic. In my opinion, this is absolutely a bad choice by the devs. They should have attached the move requirements to solely PvE, like kill X amount of this specific enemy, or kill some boss X amount of times. This usually leads to people beating an alt account for an hour or so to fulfill their requirements anyway. So, what do I think about World of Stands? I think World of Stands is a good game. It's good, really. The issue is a somewhat lacking amount of content and slightly janky gameplay at times. I don't agree with every decision the devs have made, but who cares what I think anyway, right? It isn't anything new. What it does well, but not really well. I'm excited to see where the game goes in the future, though. There were times when playing this game where I genuinely had a lot of fun my first time around. And I suppose at the end of the day, that's all that matters, right? The Hamon domain especially is pretty good, I'll say. And don't just take my word for it. Go try it yourselves. Thank you for watching my review of World of Stands. If you enjoyed or agree with anything I said, maybe leave a like. It shows that you enjoyed this style of video. And in the comments, tell me what your main stand is in World of Stands and why you like it. I'll be responding to all the comments for a while, and I'm curious what the most popular stand is in the game overall. With that being said, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.